Hi everyone, welcome to yet another edition of Let's Talk Design, and we're really glad to have you all with us here. Thank you all for joining in, and we'll be starting shortly. I'm just waiting for one of our guests to join in. If you have any questions, feel free to drop in your questions in the chat box, and we'll definitely take them up towards the end of the session. And I hope you all can hear me, see me clearly. Grab a cup of coffee and we'll straight away start the session.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thanks, Shraddha, firstly, for agreeing to be a part of the Let's Talk Design series. And I'll just quickly take a moment to introduce you to our audience. So we have with us today Shraddha Kamath, who's the principal architect of Tangram Architects from Bangalore. Shraddha started her practice with the belief that design serves as a bridge to connect nature, culture, and people with the liking of perspectives from different aspects of life, such as cinema, Indian heritage, pop culture, art. Shraddha strives to seek fundamentals in architecture and interpret them into one design language. So thank you, Shraddha, for being a part of this series, and we really look forward to an engaging conversation on redefining interiors using stone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll quickly start. We try and keep the session short and sweet. And we have my first question to you would be, what are the qualities, according to you, what are the qualities of natural stone that make it an elegant choice for interior design as compared to other materials?
We've been using natural stones for almost all of our projects. So actually it is one of my go-to material when I'm looking out for wall claddings or floorings or, even furniture that we design. So one of the important aspects that I'm looking at is durability. Durability has been one of the topmost priority that it withstands the purpose for which it is being picked. Like we do a lot of commercial projects where we've been using granite and we've been using quota as well on a large scale. So that is something that we always look at. Plus the flexibility. I love that the stones are so flexible. We can do small detailings in it and it can be used almost in anything. Like we've made cabinet shutters out of stone. We've made large double height walls out of stone. So that is one the other thing. Flexibility is something that I really love about Indian stones and natural stones in general.
Right. So, in fact, my next question to you is going to be, what are the three different ways in which you have used stone? You know, apart from just flooring or ceiling, what are the three different ways where you have experimented with stone, and you think it has produced some, different results?
Yeah, so actually we're just doing this house. It's on the, in the final stages of completion. So when we went out to pick marble, we found this really amazing stone and it had all these gray, red lines in it. So we picked it out and we framed it to sort of look like a really nice abstract art in the bar area. So that is one way. I thought that, I mean, it doesn't have a purpose or it doesn't serve any purpose in terms of functionality, but then the artwork is really nice to look at. That was one of the ways we've used it. Then we've used it in a cabinet shutter, like I've mentioned. We used stone which we framed it into metal frame, and we've used it in cabinet shutters. Then the other way is we've used it in furniture. We've also used it in a ceiling in small slat format. We've used it in a small ceiling as well, which was very tricky, but then that's why I love the natural material. You have so much flexibility to play with the material.
Right. So, tell me, according to you, in your experience, where does natural stone fit in the larger scheme of strength and durability as well? As compared to other materials. You've spoken about flexibility. So, what about strength and durability?
Yeah, so most of our parking lots or high traffic areas like workspaces we've designed for 25,000 square feet workspaces where there are going to be over 300, 500 people coming in every day through the reception lobby, through common areas. So my go-to material is I've used Kota stones, and then we've used patterns of granite. So even materials like Kota, which is, very local, you can source it very economical to use, but laid in a good format actually makes it look very high end. So the office space that we've designed looks really high end with the use of Kota and granite in that combination. So durability with these materials, but keeping the aesthetics of the space intact. So that is what we always, strive for. So even though we are using granite or any of these local materials, we make sure that it blends and complements the aesthetic of the space that we are trying to achieve.
Right, right. And tell us, how do you think stone responds uh, to other materials when used in combination or in contrast or along with other materials? Does it accentuate? Does it offset? Does it just blend in? What is your experience of using stone bin as compared to other materials?
So we've tried to use stone for both the purposes. One, we have tried to make it stand out. So if I were to use a marble, say a beautiful marble for the flooring, then in that project, I would kind of make it to stand. I would make the mood board sort of stand out. So marble has, a space of its own. It has its own. It has its show actually in the space. And on the other hand, where we've done very subtle, very monochromatic, neutral spaces, we've also taken stones to kind of blend in with the rest of the materials, like wood combinations along with beige, neutral tones is like it's like an all-time favorite of mine. We use that for almost all of our projects.
Okay, could you share some more examples of how you've used stone with sort of other contrasting materials?
Yeah, we've recently done a brass and stone combination. The stone that we've used here is onyx. So it's a very beautiful detailing. It's very minor, like small detailing that we've done. This is for a puja room in a residential uh, house that we are doing. So we took the onyx all the way, kind of integrated it with the brass metal metal lining, and then there's small inlay of two different types of onyx in between. So just the way the stone has that flexibility, to kind of blend in with any other material. Also, we've
Right.
used wood along with wood in inlay on the floor inlay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So these are ways. Marble is something that we've been using for a very long time. So onyx is something that I've just started to, discover and play with.
Sure. So, I mean, I'm sure you also recognize stone is a very personal choice, right? The sort of stone that you pick and the variety, whether it's Indian, imported, locally made, locally sourced, whatever. Stones are reflective of personal choices or personalities. So, how have you used stone, to lend a unique, personal, or customized, or a bespoke character to a space, when you're selecting stone for a particular client or a particular type of home?
Yes, actually, when we start the conceptual design of this of any house, at that stage we kind of like to question our clients. What are their likes? Actually, observe their lifestyles and then design for it. So, a very good example that I'll give you: we're doing this commercial building where we are designing one floor for the son and one floor for the father, who's the CEO and the chairperson, vice versa. So here the father wanted, very clean lines. He likes minimal interior. So the design aesthetic is very different. We're catering to two generations of owners in one
Yeah.
space. So for the father, we've designed it with marble. We've used a lot of marbles. We've played with different kinds of patterns in marble. And then for the son, in the lower floor, we've used coat we've used Kota because he really likes his vibe is, very, he has a very warm likeness to, he likes a lot of plants. He likes that very warm earth tones. So we've used Kota along with some brick cladding. So that was a very cool experiment, how we're designing one space, and both the personalities are very different. For both, we've used two different types of stones to relate to their own style, design style.
Right. Interesting. So, also, could you share some insights with our audience on how does the use of stone, how does stone differ for the different types of spaces that one is looking to do? So, for example, hospitality spaces versus residential spaces. What are the things one should keep in mind, and how should one go about selecting stone?
Yeah, so for hospitality, we've done a couple of hospitality projects. I would look at something which is really durable because, say, it's a boutique hotel or, a flooring of the reception, something really durable because you have a lot of traffic and people are coming in and out. Plus, the kind of detailing that we would do is very different from what we generally generally do for residential houses. So in residential houses, I would, go in for an inlay or do, minor, smaller detailing. Whereas for for a hospitality project, we would try to take something that is more durable. I've used marble for both the spaces, but the quality of the marble and, the basic grains, I would use something very neutral for a hospitality project that kind of relates to a wider range of people using that space. But a residence is very personal. So I like marbles which have, a lot of character. So probably you'll see this very bright looking floor, but all the other furniture and everything is very neutral. So something like that would be very difficult to do in a hospitality project because again, you want to cater and make a lot of people feel comfortable in that space. So that is one way that I would aesthetically, that is one way that would pick materials. And also the other way would be to see if the material is durable and has we would not be using very soft porous materials like travertine or something in the floor in a hospitality project because also it's very tricky, requires a lot of maintenance. But then we could also look at using them on the walls. So that is how we would, kind of differentiate on materials based on what the requirement is or where it's being laid.
That's a very, very good point, and it actually brings me to my next question to you. So, different elements in different spaces, right? Ceilings, furniture, flooring, of course, walls, you said doors, stones can be used everywhere. Now, what should one, could you share some examples of where you have used what stone? Like what stone would work really well for a ceiling versus what stone would work for a piece of furniture, uh, and many other such sort of ideas. So, could you share some examples?
Yeah, I like that you mentioned doors because we've done this small detail in one of the projects recently where we have this huge granite cladding and we have a small door that we basically want to conceal. So we've taken the granite cladding onto the door and, created a detail around it. So when you look at it, you don't really see a door there, but you see a complete granite wall with a little bit of detail around that frame. So we've actually also done that, and different surfaces for the ceilings. I've used this very lightweight limestone, which was very thin. It was almost 10 to 12 thickness limestone on the ceiling. So we do not want to use anything thicker. So say Kota or any of these materials are really thick. They're about 30-25 thick. So I wouldn't suggest using that on the ceiling because of the technical difficulties that come with it. But something lightweight, something more delicate is what we would use in the ceiling. Plus, for walls, we've gone ahead and used quartzite. Quartzite is another material which I've seen, really in almost all the showrooms in Bangalore over here. There are beautiful textures of quartzite. That is something that we've been using on the walls. Marble is an all-time favorite. We've been using that on the walls and furniture. We've made like marble tables out of leftover marble that we've been using in the flooring. So we've made tables and small planter boxes out of it. So these are the ways that we've been using our these materials on site.
Very, very useful. Thank you so much, Shraddha. This is super useful. Uh, I would like you to close this session by telling us what is, if you had to pick one stone that resonates with your personality, what would that be?
I think I would pick marble, which is I love gray marble. We've used like different shades of gray marble, be it Burberry, Armani. There are 2, 3 different shades, Salancorin. So the gray marble is very neutral. I like to offset it with different colors of furniture and different shades of wood. Also blends in beautifully, actually. So something that would I could just close my eyes and pick for a house would be a very nice, beautiful gray marble, actually.
And last things, as you know, this series is called Let's Talk Design. So if there's one tip that you'd like to share with our audience, or one statement that you'd like to share on Let's Talk Design, let us know your thoughts.
So we always try to, source locally as well, but sometimes we have requirements for Italian marble and to source it from outside of India. But mostly, I would say that we are making a conscious effort to source local stones and to use a lot of local stones that are available here. So that would be one suggestion. And the other thing is we always play with the bigger grains of marble and on the walls, and then offset it with smaller grains or smaller patterns on the floor. So playing with these kind of proportions and aesthetics is something that looks really nice. So even if you're using the same material on the wall and on the floor, but just playing with the proportions and smaller aesthetics creates a whole world of difference. So that is, I think, something that all of us should start exploring.
Yeah, and I think that's a very, very good insight. Thank you so much, Shraddha. It was great to have you share so much useful information with us. Thank you on behalf of the A-Class team. As you know, A-Class has completed more than 50 years of being in the industry, and this series was started to celebrate the same. Thank you for being a part of this series, and A-Class will plant a tree as a gesture of gratitude in your name. You'll be getting a certificate for the same. So thank you very much. Good luck to you in all your work, and we look forward to seeing more fabulous work at your studio.
Thank you so much for inviting me for this live session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was lovely talking to you. Thanks.
Nice, same here.